shying away from the topic, and he joins us now. Please welcome to the show Congressman Keith Self. He's one of the very few brave members of our Congress who are calling out this Islamic takeover and looking to push back on that front. Congressman, I want to thank you for being here because you're working aggressively hard on co-sponsoring a lot of key pieces of legislation on a federal level. For right now, though, I wanted to get your take on what the governor just did yesterday in regards to the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE as well, designating those both as very alarming as potential foreign terrorist organizations. Your thoughts on this?
Well, as you said, that is a very important announcement. Now we need to follow up, because when you designate these organizations as foreign terrorist organizations, that gives law enforcement more tools to use against it. But frankly, we're going to have to see not only the government work, but I encourage Texans not to be intimidated, because that's what they do, is they intimidate just normal citizens. I always use the example of walking your dog down a sidewalk. If a Muslim tells you that you're offending him, then you have the right, and you need to stand for your rights to continue to do that. So this is going to be an effort by citizens as well as government. You cannot depend only on your government. You are going to have to not be intimidated and stand against it. Having said that, important announcement.
Yeah, it's a very important announcement. And I kind of wanted to highlight, too, we are very thankful for the Collin County judge, Chris Hill, who made the announcement of the rebranding that they're trying to do for Epic. And, I sat there in his courtroom and watched it all play out. And I was very proud of Texans who not only showed up, but had an overwhelming amount of support, were relentless in making sure that their thoughts on all of this were heard. In fact, the courtroom itself wasn't able to hold all of them, and we needed like an overflow room as well, because so many people are concerned about this issue, and it's a very, very important one. And I know you just recently also endorsed Chris Hill as well, so this is all really, really important. But you've been hyper focused on getting this on a federal level. You've endorsed and co-sponsored several key pieces of legislation that I wanted to highlight as well. You're supporting, obviously, HR 4097, which is to designate CARE as a terrorist organization, as well as HR 4397, which designates the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. You're also, and we're going to talk about this in depth as well, the No Sharia Act as well is something that you are also trying to push forward as well. But I want to talk mainly about CARE and the Muslim Brotherhood, because they've been focused heavily by many in the independent journalism world as to their threats to those who cover them. I know a great woman named Amy Mack who covers them extensively, and they go after her, they target her, they do their very best to slander her, but they tout a very thin line between defamation and just being able to do just that. And it's pretty concerning. And this is the intimidation factor that you were just talking about. What's being done on the federal level to make sure groups like CARE and the Muslim Brotherhood can't intimidate Americans from coming forward and speaking freely on these issues?
Well, Chip Roy's bill that you did not mention, preserving a Sharia-free America Act, is important, because if you are a foreign national and you adhere to Sharia, then you're going to leave the country. Foreign national, not citizens, but foreign national of any sort. If you adhere to Sharia, you're going to leave the country, or you will not be allowed to come into the country. That's an important bill that we need to get passed. And then the Randy Fine bill that says that American courts cannot adhere to Sharia and take Sharia law into account is also an important bill. But again, this is all legislation. The people need to be aware of the great danger that we are in and participate in this. Support your elected officials that are going to be doing the heavy lifting, your law enforcement that's going to be doing the heavy lifting, and do not be intimidated.
Yeah, Congressman, we sit back and watch what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan, and there's a mayor in Dearborn, Michigan, who is doing his very best to intimidate those, specifically Christians, who come forward and are looking to just voice their concerns about what's happening in Dearborn, Michigan. We've heard him say repeatedly that they don't want to assimilate, and most importantly, telling one, I believe he was a pastor, telling him that he can't wait for him to leave the city of Dearborn, Michigan, because he thinks that he's a plague pretty much to the city and to Muslims there. If we draft up all those pieces of legislation, like the ones that we've had so far, because there's a lot that you guys have brought forward so far, like you've mentioned the preserving of the Sharia-free American Act, what can we do to go after these cities who are refusing to allow Americans, Christians specifically, to voice their concerns about, the prayers that are being blasted at 5 a.m. in their cities? I mean, these Americans have concerns. This isn't a constitutional right at this point. These are people who are looking to assert their dominance here in the West.
Well, we need to be like Jessica Hulsey, just stood up in front of the Josephine City Council and defended exactly what you just talked about. We are a Christian based constitution directly from the Declaration of Independence. But to your point, there was a judge in Maine just recently that ridiculed Christian faith of a mother who was trying to raise her child in a Christian way. The ex husband, the father, objected to it, and she sided with the husband. That is religious discrimination on the other side against Christians. So that's the other side of this coin. We cannot lose our Christian base, our Christian foundation, because all of our laws are based on a Christian worldview.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the reason why this country has been so successful. And we continue to push that. I also wanted to get your take on this. I know that you've been very outspoken in the matter of Obamacare, most recently, obviously, coming out and saying that you're ready for the subsidies to expire. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because I think a lot of Americans are floating the idea, since the president has also been very vocal about this, giving the money to the American people rather than these health insurance companies. Is that something you're looking to support? And how do we make sure that things like Obamacare never come about again? Because this has really been devastating for those who are looking to get quality health care on the market, but they can't seem to find it because these health insurance companies have taken advantage.
Look, it was one of the great things of the shutdown. The sunshine that is now on Obamacare is one of the great things of the shutdown, one of the few great things. But we now understand as a people that Obamacare had been a massive failure. We have piled subsidies on top of subsidies to try to keep this thing alive, Obamacare. We need to kill it now. We need to repeal it, or we need to substitute something for it so that we reestablish the doctor-patient relationship. And that is one idea, the one that you talked about, that's floating around. But the temporary COVID era subsidies need to expire at the end of the year. And we need to find a solution that reestablishes the doctor patient relationship, whatever we do.
Yeah, yeah. I know most Americans will support just that. Congressman, I want to thank you for joining us today, and thank you for putting up this fight. These are very key fights that we need to take on, and we need to be fearless when we do just that. We also look forward to hearing you speak in just a few moments on the House floor later today, so we'll bring that live to our audience when you do. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brianna.